Welcome to the Trading Parrot and to another episode of the Trading Elite. We do a weekly session where we review the coins that you guys decide in a poll. This is a private session, and we're going to be focusing this week on this group of coins. We got AAVE, Solana, XRP, Ethereum Virtual, Uniswap, SPX, DOGE, ADA, NEAR, and Mana. If you forgot to vote for the coins, you still have a little bit of time. I'm going to be refreshing this every now and then. For those of you that are watching this stream on Friday, that means that you are not part of the Patreon subscription on Elite. The link is in the description. You can join, and we do this once a week. The beauty of doing this is that it's very cozy group, a small group of people, and we get to do TA. I got all your comments in here. Let me enable that so I can see all your questions while I'm doing TA of certain coins. You can step in, interrupt, and I can cover all your questions. And it's not necessarily only TA, it can be questions about trading in general, it can be about other asset classes like Forex or stocks. In this case, today we got this group of coins, and we're going to get straight away with the first one, which is AAVE. Let's go with that. AAVE has had a pretty decent run. It's pretty impressive as well that we have almost erased all the losses from this move. That was, how much was it? Was around 72%, and we have already moved up around 182, and that's definitely beyond the golden pocket. We're almost about to complete a V recovery, and this is all in the context of a revenge rally, right? So we broke out in here on end of March, and we are getting very close to the final target of getting to an RSI of 75, 76. That's probably around the next highs at $400. And let's look at how's the healthiness of this move on AAVE, whether it can continue rallying. We can see that we are confronting one of the last resistance before we get into 435 that coincides with the highs of the previous cycle. Um, it's been actually very, very healthy, all the moves during this cycle for AVE. You can see that we got higher highs and higher lows. So we kind of deserve at this point to get a new high, possibly around $438. If we can do that, fantastic. Let's see if we can actually achieve that, because an overcrowded space makes it also ideal to get some pullbacks in the way. We're getting close to the first percentile here. This is the delta longs versus shorts. That means that it's getting a bit too overcrowded. From the lows of the areas of value that were around 37, now we're getting into 70, 71. The first percentile is 75, so just 4 points away, and we hit that level. The top percentile is 85, thanks to these highs that we did in November 2023. And it's rare that you see something crossing the whole range. So the longs entering here, and they don't get absolutely any punishment for crossing to the opposite end. So I think somewhere around here we're gonna get some pullback, and I'm talking about pullback of longs dropping off. That's totally possible before we get into 437. We are already seeing a little bit of a rejection against the $317. That level is pretty important because it was support multiple weeks, 3 weeks. Then we broke down, then we retest. And thanks to that bearish retest at 317, well, we carry on doing the vast majority of the whole drop. If we will have reclaimed 317, we will have continue to the way up, right? I also have in here a Fibonacci extension from the top to this new bottom at $100 is calling for a one-to-one extension of 436. That's where that number is coming from, along with the highs of the beginning of the bear market. Then we have a golden pocket at 641, but let's go one step at the time, of course. Let's see if this is also getting risky from the point of view of socials. We look at longs versus shorts. We look how close we are getting to completing the revenge rally, and now we're going to look at the socials. And socials are saying that we are kind of on the top end. Okay, so watch out with that, because we already pinched it once, second time. In this rally here, we pinched it 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, so it rallied a bit longer, but that was in August 2024. What was the price doing at that point? It was starting with this, and then we got a pullback from the first resistance, 23% down, and we regained energy to do another spring, and that gave us the impulsive move. So something like that could happen here, right? So we get a rejection, we see a little bit of red in this range, and then we continue up. It's not guaranteed, but it's something that happens more often than not when we see the longs almost complete a full range extension from one side to the opposite, and similarly to the socials as well, from being very quiet to being very crowded, attracting retail. Retail is um, vastly responsible for this last leg in here. So here is longs that enter that are smart money. In this area in here is a mixture. In this area in here is just retail. And that's why you get the pullback. They get disappointed, they drop the towel, and then smart money comes in back again in an area again of value. I will say this is not value. We are against resistance. We have had pretty much only green candles. Let's look at liquidation levels on AAVE. Am I going to have AAVE here? It's incredible. I do this every week and I cannot memorize which symbols are supported um, on what is it called? On trading different. On the 1 month, let's see if we get that. We got here an interesting level at 234. Where is that in the price? So 234 is slightly is the beginning of this last leg up after the red weekly candle. So it's the base of this area, is the support. So you could come in here, take 234, and that will be an area of value to, if you are unloading in here, to reload. If you reduce, then to re-add, or if you never enter, to enter. But be careful, because even if we are entering at 234, it can retrace a lot more. This has been a move of 100, almost 200%. So entering there is at a retracement of just 28%. It can be a lot more, a lot deeper. This one, for example, was 29. This retracement in here was 47. So you get kind of a range. If you are, FOMOing at the moment on AVE, well, I prefer that you enter at 234, that you are now entering right there against the resistance of 320. That's a compromise, but it's still not too good looking for me to enter and something like this for the first time. Let's see the 3 month, and maybe we're going to find another area. So 234 is definitely very heavy. It followed by $200. So you got those two good candidates for re-entering, re-adding, getting back in on AVE. Let's go with Solana. And Solana is in the middle of the range. We said that already in the video yesterday. Yesterday we were above the 160, and that was looking really good for continuation into 180, and finally exit this range. Remember how much resistance there was in here before we were able to go into $300. So we are in that stage there where there is the struggle to break 180. First attempt lost, and now we are kind of struggling with 160. So if we continue in close the week like this, we're going to get more sideways in this area. If we reclaim 160, then we get further chances to break 180. Yeah, there is a battle with 160 at the moment, and we lost one level of defense. I say that yesterday, but I still think that there is a chance that we rally into RSI 57. Let's look at that level in the price. 57. That is around $193. So that is the completion of the revenge rally. After that, we need to see if it's just a revenge rally or if it can become something else. And if it does, we can get into over $300, of course. Healthiness of the move is pretty quiet on Solana still, and longs are a bit hot still in this area on the top end, which is something I don't like. So I will enter on Solana. If I was to enter on Solana, I would have done it around the 115 to $100, which were the numbers that I was giving you back in the day when we were coming on the way down from 300. And now that we are at these highs of longs is definitely an area to think to take some profits, to take advantage of those pullbacks and swing it, but not to enter with a fresh position. Of course, not financial advice. You do whatever you have to do. Let's go into liquidations. Definitely, I have it on trading different this time. And yesterday, I was mentioning that there is a good, interesting area of liquidations that go from 190 to 213 after the double top. And the only thing that we have currently in terms of the risk that is calling my attention is 138. That is also getting a bit heavier from the longs. So if you enter in here, your risk is that you might go and flash this. If the market is just too bearish, then you can get back into the $118 because there is liquidity enough to go there. Not guaranteed, but that is your risk. That's what you're betting. You're betting that we are not going to go there, but there is motivation to go there. So be aware of that. And if you enter in here and the market continues bullish and Bitcoin breaks the all-time high, this is your target area for a quick swing. So you could enter this area, DCA around here somewhere for a second order, and then target this area there. Uh, Higher than that, I'm sure there is more liquidity somewhere here, but there is something on trading different that it doesn't show you the latest when you go too high in the price. I guess they're doing some optimization, some cost saving maybe, but they cut the history here, which is annoying. Let's go back and let's check what's the next coin. Guys, if you are in the live stream, and make sure that you use the chat. You can ask me anything you want. I'll keep an eye on that. Let's go with Ethereum. And Ethereum looks like it's doing a lot more than the rest of the coins because, for example, AAVE is getting rejected by the next resistance. Solana, the same thing with 160. And somehow Ethereum is still in the area of the reclaim of the lost support. So it looks like, oh, Ethereum is doing a lot more than the rest. And don't get me wrong, it has done something magnificent already, but this is 100% with AAVE. We got already at 200%, and Solana has been also pretty good. And indeed, Solana broke out way earlier. And with Ethereum, we have an internal breakout, a rally into resistance in here, 5 weeks trying to reclaim. And now on the 6th week, we are piercing that. And despite the fact that Bitcoin has had a pullback today, Ethereum is still holding that thing there. And that is like, that's strength. And, we need to celebrate that strength. It's still there. The RSI is still holding the position of a breakout weekly. That's great. So is this time to enter? Well, the time to enter, I say it like 100 times. That was the area of value. That was the area of value. And I put a bubble there and we repeat it like a parrot. That's my job. And then we move into the next resistance for the second time in terms of longs and shorts, right? We hit 61, now we are about to hit 60, and that is what we need to break out to start looking into 88, which is, again, another huge accumulation of longs, and that's the only way we can get beyond 4K with the price. We need a lot of longs. But if you ask me, betting on resistance getting broken and just entering here is a recipe for disaster because it has failed 6 weeks. So nothing guarantees that if you enter with a long here, you're not going to get dragged back down and even go into support of 2.2, 2.5, which is right below this. That could be the perfect higher high. So if there really is that strength on Ethereum, we should hold that and not not betting that we are gonna stay here or break above. Of course, you can win that, but you're gonna be doing it with a very slim chance of succeeding. Um, let's go with Ethereum liquidations. I don't think there's gonna be a lot changing in here, but let's focus on this. Let's focus first on the close proximity. So people are talking around social media whether we're going to be able to break 3K. So if we do that break, and if we hold this breakout, because this is a bull flag that has already broken out, if we hold these levels of 2.7 and we carry on with a new high, where is that target? Where's the target that makes sense to hit? I will say a fast move crossing 3K and approaching this area of liquidity around getting up to 3.3 with high likelihood, and with less likelihood getting into 3.6. That is from the swing trade. So this is long term on the 4 hour. And let's say we fail. Let's say we lose the flag and we start coming down. So what will be the closest, the lowest hanging fruit? That will be around. I don't like that. It's too far. Let's see, like this. There's very little liquidity below the price. Oh my God, this is wrong. Let's put the 25x. Now we're talking. So let me see. I might have to do the analysis here again on the top end. Oh, I think it's still valid. So 3.3 is true. It's all there. Let's remove 4K out of the way, because we know that that is too heavy. It's going to imbalance the chart. So we got 2.9, then the 3K, which is almost all responsibility of the high leverage. So high leverage brings in that, and that can be very quick and easy. Then hitting the 3x and the 5x, those are the ones that could bring the the short squeeze up to over 3K and getting into 3.3. So it's less likely, but there is motivation to go up to there. Below the price, we got a risk at around 2.3. So a failure of the flag, the easiest hit from a move down is to get into 2.3, but we also have 2000. So crossing fingers that we're going to hold in here, and that Ethereum is going to help to lead the pack, and including leading Bitcoin. Some maxis are going to get upset there, but Ethereum sometimes also can lead. If it's performing really well, sometimes Bitcoin also benefits from that, because then you get the whole narrative of the whole space being bullish and not just Bitcoin, which has been the case for pretty much the whole cycle. All right, enough of Ethereum. Let's go with the next one, which is virtuals. And actually, let's respect the votes. Let's respect the votes. So I already skip XRP. That wasn't intentional. XRP, yesterday in my video, I was celebrating the potential breakout from here, but it has retraced. It has put the head back inside the body like a turtle, right? And we are back below 52 on the RSI, and the price is still has never been up above the white line, so that's okay. And in terms of value, we are in an area of value. I said that yesterday. Watch my video if you want to, deeper analysis on XRP, and it's very quiet as well. So I think it's kind of a good setup to be thinking on XRP on all this area. How could it fail if we get a rejection from that resistance? In that case, support, next areas of support, and the ones that we want to hold is $2. So if we ended up doing something like another pinch like this in a breakout, that's a great area of value. And of course, you need to manage your risk, because there's a reason I don't trade XRP, because XRP does these things of eventually retracing all the gains. But there's so many fundamentals and people are in love with it. So I suppose that retail are gonna manage somehow to keep pushing it higher. I wouldn't be surprised of that. And liquidations on XRP. Yes, because they are saying that XRP is going to be used for so many things. They've been saying that for a long time, so I hope they are right. XRP liquidations, we got a 2.7 up to 2.8 is quite heavy. Then we have the 3.4 and the $3. Below the price, we got a decent bucket to pinch up to 1 1.8. So I will say if we go beyond 1.9, I will get really stressed that possibly the flag is not going to break to the upside and we are not going to see this breaking bullish. In terms of extensions, we could do something in here. Let me do an extension from bottom to top. Let's do it from this low into this high and that low there. And an extension of one can give us $4.7. Let me move it out of the way here. And a golden pocket extension of 6.7. So yeah, I guess that will do for today to get a little bit of hopium. Let's go with virtuals. Virtuals, do I have it already? Yeah, virtuals. Yeah, virtuals has been attempting so many times to break. Well, the resistance is 2.5, but it sends us back to support at $2, one level that is already should have held, but it didn't. We went back to 1.6, and we reclaim $2, which is bullish. Is a psychological level. Being about $2 gives hope to all these people, definitely. And we are seeing another one of these candles of rejection in here of distribution. Something is going on with virtuals in terms of distribution. I want to see longs versus shorts. We got the longs getting into 71 and retracing slightly, so there hasn't been major changes there. And socials attracted a lot of people, and we are still quite louder than we were in January. So retail is definitely here playing, fooling around with this and expecting it to go probably to new all-time high. So if we saw the extension of this, that probably is going to get us into $37. If we get there and you're still holding, um, I will consider taking some profits from there, considering the amount of retail that has entered in here thanks to all the loudness of them in social media. And if you are in profit already here, I will consider an exit below $16 because that could retrace pretty in a pretty annoying way, just to de-risk a little bit. Of course, you could hit your stop loss in profit, and then that can still ride up, and you're gonna be super pissed at me. But I think the the sensible thing to do, sorry, is to de-risk in here after this rally. Let's go with the next one. Let's go with, oh, Uni got a lot of votes. What's going on with Uni? We are against resistance of $8. The rally is healthy in terms of momentum. Definitely is. We are just hitting the neckline of the previous area at $7, $8 around that area, and we have an inverse head and shoulders that we have managed to do two-thirds, we could say. The target was $9.4, but we still don't make that. We have higher highs and higher lows on the other side. So that part, all of that is super healthy, and there's lots of upside to have from here, I would say, as it came low very fast, but it's also very fast to reclaim. And if we do that, we could get a new high in here. We have highs on March and then higher highs in December, so that is good. And the structure put kind of a double bottom in here, and it will be actually interesting. I was looking if we can do this on ADA, create some double bottom like this and then have stupid targets to the upside. Let's see if we can do that with Uni. But I don't want to give too much hopes in here because we're hitting that resistance, and we are doing it with the most amount of longs that we have had since 2021. So this has been in a channel up like this, uh, uh, attracting longs, attracting longs, attracting longs, and we have already hit both percentiles at the top in amount in allocation of longs, and we are about to hit the final resistance at 91. Okay, and we cross the whole range in a single go, which we have done, but a smaller range. This is a range of 35. This has been a range of 54. Wow, impressive. Why people are so bullish on Uni? Let me know in the comments. There must be something going on. In terms of social, is quite overheated, but relative to the recent past. So the Bollinger Band shows that this area is very quiet, and we are louder. We are louder than from July 2024, but we used to be a lot louder. So yes, it's overheated at 0.5% of social dominance, but Uni can get up to 3%, you know, uh, 5, 6 times more. So socials consider it mildly overheated, longs extremely overheated, and the momentum healthy. So it's time to look for next support of $7. Hopefully, holding right there and not doing anything below that, so we can climb into the final technical target. Let's look at liquidation levels. Possibly here, you need nope. Uh, let's go with this one. How is it going? How is the sound? I'm asking a little bit late, but I hope everything is okay. It's very quiet in the chat, so I'm hoping everything is okay. Right. So you need 3 month. We got some liquidation levels at 5.7, and considering that we are just hitting the resistance at 8, that is quite a steep move down. And I will prefer that we don't go that low, because that is undoing this whole impulsive move. Let's see a move on 5.7. What does it do to the weekly? From 8, yeah, that's a little bit too deep. It goes basically into here. It kind of comes back below the neck of the inverse head and shoulder. It will be nice that we just hold 7. That's kind of the ideal. But if we have to go to around $6, well, I guess that is still not a lower low, but definitely 7 is the best chance for, not the best chance. It kind of guarantees a bit more the chances to complete the full target. That's definitely the case. Next coin is SPX. So definitely this has been one of the craziest moves in the past month that we've been tracking among the coins that you guys are asking for, at least. We have this parabolic line that I left in here that now we need to adjust because it has reached all the way there. And we were thinking that this area was going to stop the price, and that definitely was wrong. There was a confluence there of a lot of things. There was the Fibonacci golden pocket. There was resistance coming from the daily time frame. I think I took it from this order block, and it has gone just bananas. Literally, it's not respecting any TA support and resistance. It's not respecting the highest daily. It could run a lot longer. I don't know. There's nothing in here once you enter price exploration that you can have as a reference. Uh, I suppose I could do some extensions, but you need to pick something that gives you something reasonable. Let me see the RSI. Oh, wow. Okay. RSI has just put an all-time high in momentum. We were seeing various divergences in here that was making the case for me to say, watch out, take some profits. And we put higher highs on the momentum. So definitely a failure in the thesis from my side. We were at the top end of longs. They kind of pulled back. Some of them closed their positions, and as soon as they closed, the degens came back in for another wave up. Yeah. Let's see liquidation levels for SPX. Now that we are dealing with a potential new all-time high, well, things could go continue bananas even further. Once you get in this stage with a meme coin, it could be anything. It's kind of the TA is no longer that important, because it's pretty much the fuss in the social network. And if there's thousands of people just talking and talking and talking about SPX, that is never going to stop. It stops when they rack pull, pretty much. There's no technicals to determine when is the perfect spot for rack pulling. I mean, they need to decide. SPX, I'm still happy to do TA, but um, on Doge the TA works better, and on other meme coins from the previous cycle that are still being traded a lot. But when they list something new and it's got a short time, it's difficult to TA it. We got some liquidity at 124 and 1, but now we're trading at 173. Am I looking at the right one? Yeah. So around 1.6, we got some liquidity. So that is around the highest close for the daily where they place some liquidity, but it's very close to the price. Anyways, I don't think it's very helpful to do more TA of this one. Let's go with, should we do short coin? FARTCOIN later. Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely. We got a first question today. I thought you guys were sleeping. Let's go with Dutch, and let's change this to the weekly. And the rally on Doge, eh, despite the fact that this has come down around 34%, this is a meme coin, so that is kind of the volatility that you will expect from this. But in terms of the rally, this is just coming into support on the weekly. It's not doing nothing really out of the extraordinary. It hasn't broken even the first level, so it's just getting closer to that. So as long as it's holding there, you always have a chance to buy that dip and carry on higher. So you can see that some people are already took advantage of that right at the support. That support is 16, and ideally we want to reclaim the 22. That level is coming from the March highs, and we couldn't hold above that for too long, and we came back to support. It's not that overcrowded, we could say. We are at 24, more or less double than the support at 11, but there's a lot of room to grow in here, 30, 40 points to the upside. Socials, we were very quiet around 21st of April, started to become a bit more crowded. We are in the median, but still far from the top of 3.1%. And in terms of liquidations, oh, we can go with this one on swing. Cool. Oh no, this is scalping. Do I have it on swing? Nope. Okay, fair enough. Close, close, close. Okay. Uh, yeah, I only have 1 hour. Okay. So we got the usual at 23 cents liquidation. Below the price, we have some at 18.4, and then after at around 17. Let's remove this out of the way and let's see if something pops in as intense. And maybe let's bring the 10x's to. Okay, now we're talking. Um, I was saying, yeah, 1635. That's the beginning of the rally. And then on the top end, that 21 cents. Right. Next coin is, I think, Cardano. Yeah, let's go with Cardano. Okay. So we didn't do the double bottom. We got rejected at 83, but we are being held by the ascending support in here at 65. And we need to break that resistance of 82. On the other side, we had the breakout. We hit the revenge rally target and we got rejected, but we put a higher low. So that is still what we need to do next. We need to break this, re-enter, and carry on this way. So we didn't do it on this attempt, but thanks to the higher low, potentially we can do it on a second try. So let's continue monitoring that level that is 56. 56. And let's see what happens after we reach that level, which is around 85. So from 66 to 85, we need to move to hit again the same resistance that got us rejected around 82 before. And in terms of longs versus shorts, it's not very overheated. In socials, we are at the median. In terms of liquidations, we can go here quickly. Yeah, we got this pattern now that I did it on the daily time frame, and we are at support. So 67 is support. The risk is 50 cents. A failure here can bring us into 50. Then probably we get a dead cat bounce, and then we carry on lower. But if we don't break the support, the next targets are at 84, 89, and the biggest packet probably where I wanna unload, because I didn't do at this time, is around the over $1, 1.2, 1.3, up to 1.4, I will say, if we get lucky to get there this cycle. And of course, there are very bullish targets for ADA. We don't have to necessarily stop in the liquidity pools. That's something that people sometimes imply that in my videos, but it's not absolutely true. For example, in the megaphone pattern on Bitcoin, we had the liquidity pools at around 80K in 2024, and we were monitoring those. We were saying, oh, those are the biggest, largest pools ever, but we passed across those, and we got into 105, 104 the first time, and then we reach 112. So you can definitely do that, but you need that bullishness, of course. So if you want something not guaranteed but higher likelihood, you go for the liquidity. But if it holds, it can go into uh, extensions of 1 at 1.5 or 2.1. So not always just get obsessed with the liquidity pools, because you might close the deal too early and think, well, that's it, right? We took the liquidity, there's nothing else. No, there is price exploration, and there are extensions. So you can use the liquidity, put some stop loss in case you want to get out if it retraces too much, and then you can trail it a way higher during a price exploration that can be, impulsive like this one. And those are the targets for that. Cool. Let's go into the next one. That is let's go with near. I'm good in time today. I'm doing better with passing through the different coins a bit faster than usual, because people complain I spend too much time in the single coin. Some other people say that's fantastic. The more information, the better. But I want to find a middle ground. So near. I don't like the look of the chart, but if you are already invested from the lows of $2, we definitely can target around $7. I've said that before, particularly if we complete this double bottom, we break the neckline of 2.3. It's kind of halfway through forming a bottoming formation. I prefer to invest in this way. Solana and the others already did this. This is late, and near is underperforming the cycle. It hasn't managed to put a higher high in here. It is putting just lower lows. So this structure is already bearish. So even targeting the $7, you need to really take risk management seriously in here, in case it doesn't have an element of bullish surprise this cycle. In case it fails, it just drags down. Let's look at what the RSI is doing. Well, you can see how failed everything is with near. You got lower lows, lower highs, breakout that goes lower, not just once, but twice. Then you finally move up, but then you move up and you lose the first support. So that is how, broken. We are approaching the global resistance at 47. And actually, I would like to know where is that to take a little bit of caution once we get there. After all, we are diminishing in momentum. And 47 is around $3. It's very close to the price. So at $3, buy two strongly, and hopefully we get beyond $3 and we can climb higher. After $3, even before the neckline formation of the double bottom, we start getting higher chances of that neckline actually completing and carrying on to the upside. Long shorts are on the low end. Socials, yeah, are just in the median. Nothing special. Not really. I wouldn't say this is loud. It's a little bit louder than this, but the range is so restricted. We need to worry if we get into 4-3% of social dominance. Definitely. Next one is Decentraland. After this, I'm gonna cover Bitcoin a bit, and then we can go with FARTCOIN. It's funny that when I look into fire charts, people say, "Hey, you're saying fart charts." That is so funny. And then everybody talks about the fart coin, and no one says anything. It's literally called fart coin. Let's remove all my uh, crazy drawings. And I haven't done anything in a while with this coin. It's got this ranging period in here between 80 cents and 30 cents. Oh my God, this is the perfect scenario for a grid bot. Look at this. You just leave the grid bot up and down forever. So obviously everybody's thinking we're going to get to 80 cents. I would like this needs to break 80 cents, otherwise it's nonsense. These moves are of 200%. So if you catch these lows, even if you pinch it and you reclaim it, the people are expecting a 200% again. Repetition, rinse and repeat. And we got the breakout. It happened on April when we reclaimed the support, and it's been a little bit. How similar is to that? It's a little bit similar, but this one is a bit more bearish than this move. This is a better shape, and if you place a line below, we're not losing the levels. We are just holding and holding and holding. But if you put the line in here, if you place it like this, of course we broke down. I guess we can say that we are still waiting for a pivot and leave it like that and be more forgiving with the central land that is not performing that well. This cycle is definitely not on a free fall, but ranging the whole cycle. And we were in an area of value in March, and we are close to that. We pay another visit in June. So it's not very overheated on long shorts, and the socials, they are very low, so nothing to say about that. And let's look at liquidation levels. Oh, cool. At 32, there is a decent liquidation on the upside. And at 25, there is a liquidation for shorts. That is what I got at the moment. Let's see what changes if we can hit the top liquidation of 32. That is, yeah, it's not even a high. No, it's too close to the price. All right, so with this coin, what I will do is I will buy the lows and take partial profits halfway through at 54 and then at 81, the rest. But all of this by placing stop losses. So if you hold the around the 50s, then move the stop loss up and then carry on here, or you can take partial profits. It depends on your own personal preference of risk management. And the only one that's left from this list is Bitcoin. Let's do a very quick look of what's going on here. We are so far holding the 107, which is good. I say we need to go to 107. There's a big area of interest there. Watch my video for the full detail. And being at this area, we we could do a bounce similar to this from 107 and go to almost 109. But definitely Bitcoin, what needs to do now is to not just take the highs of 110. We need to take the highs of here. We need to put an all-time high or break this resistance at 111, because we've been rejected with a double top from there. And definitely today, we need to hold 107. If we don't hold 107, it becomes just too easy to go to the lows of the range at, from 103 to 101, very close to where we just recently pinched. And that kind of forms a double top in multiple time frames. It's going to be really difficult to unsee this for traders. This double top, no one cares about. That's on the 4 hour. That one there, that one there. But if you form a double top that covers the whole chart, yeah, that's when it starts being too obvious to too many people. Yeah, let me see what has changed. So we can just cover that. Yeah, I wanted to see the longs retracing a bit more for a gaining momentum with the spring, so we can carry on up. But you can see that it has only moved down a little bit from the top range of amount of longs. Let's look at the order book. During the day, I like to check that. We took that liquidity. My thesis was that we were going to go just for the shallow liquidity there, and that then we were going to go for the top of the range. We didn't do that. We retraced deeper into 107. I just say if we go beyond that, let's cross fingers that 107 holds, because breaking that level, then we get a way deeper move down. So far, it seems that we are just turning this into new support, in which case we have a chance to still hit the highs. Uh, Order book, we are on the 4 hour. Let's see how this is behaving. I'm interested to see if they're moving the selling wall close to the price. So we got a little bit of selling in here going on up until 108, and then we have the rest at 110. And in terms of support, we have these levels right there. Let's see how that translates in terms of order depth. Um, for that, I like to use the one on high block capital, because I get all these different views with different percentiles, with a percentage of deviation, 10, 1, 2, and 5. And I can see them with different coloring using percentiles. So you can see that 4 hours ago, with the previous candle, we were at 100 and 100 percentile in the 2 and in the 1% deviation. That means that very close to the price, there were tons of orders holding the price. And away from the price, we were at 65 and we dropped to 52. And at 5%, we went from 78 to 65. So the orders that are further away from the price decrease a little bit. So that support that is far away is reduced. The one that is close to the price is still decently strong at 98, and this one at 84. And those are between 1 and 2% holding the price. We can see them right here. Those are the ones around 105, 500 into 106, 800. They're located around there. That's the bidding, how it's looking. Longs are stepping back in after going very low to 32. And let's see how is the liquidation levels progressing today. We're in the red. So that means that we have flip. Now the shorts are in slightly more risk. The delta is just 62, so it's almost equal. We took part of the fat fair value gap. We could say that half of it went away. There's still some left over. And I think I said that if we take, hopefully we take just a part, because if we take the rest, we are basically breaking below 107. That's my support, and it's crazy how it's respecting it. Look at this. We went back down, we took some of the fair value gap, came back above support. And then below, we have this leftover, which is kind of the recipe for disaster. Hopefully, we don't have to go there. If we do, shorts are going to be very happy because then we can target these levels of fair value gaps and the liquidity that is there. All right, I'm going to do FARTCOIN now. Mm, the symbol is coin or just like that? No, it's with coin. Okay, let's do it in here. Okay, this is an interesting one. I'm going to have to drop it for the daily. It's forming a cap and handle that is bullish. So definitely we have a resistance at 157, and we saw just now a rejection because Bitcoin also saw a rejection. Yeah, there is a resistance that I didn't see. Now I'm starting to see it in here. It's like this. Every time we go there, we're seeing a rejection, but it's very persistent how they are trading, because when you get a pattern of a cup and handle, what it means is that you got sold off, you went back to where you came from, in this case relative to this high, and you were about to get sold off, but it really didn't happen. You came back again for another try without necessarily giving back all the gains. And that's how you build a cup and handle. And that is also clear in here that we are seeing that resistance. That's the momentum resistance to break this. And in the momentum resistance, we got a little bit of an edge here that there it might happen. That it might happen that we actually break beyond 157. And I'm gonna give you the target. Again, it's a meme coin, okay? And I'm doing TA, so take a grain of salt with all these targets. Use proper risk management, move stop losses in profit, use every single tool that you have to stay safe on these things. This is not just throw money and forget. If you throw $100 and you don't need those $100, that's fine. If you want to do it with leverage, yeah, try not to, because this is too volatile for leverage. These moves are 27% down. So tell me what leverage survives that. If you happen to enter wrong at 124 and you put slightly more than 3x, bye bye. You lost all the investment. And that's why it moves like that. So you can do it with low leverage, or placing stop losses and moving them, or doing trailing. Pick your poison, and master your poison, of course. The target is $3 of this thing. At the moment, we're halfway, so that's just an extension of one. And let's see the risk at the moment. So we are halfway through longs and shorts. Definitely, we flash all this area. We're no longer with so many longs, which is good. That means that it can recharge if people are still interested. Are people interested? I will say so. Here, there was an interest to get it into 1.4 in social dominance, and it came back down to 1, but there's still interest. It was falling the interest until it reached 0.7, and then it pinched back into 1.4. What triggered that? Well, the comeback into that resistance. That definitely brought a lot of people back. Liquidations. Uh, Sorry, this is. Let's do this one. So at $1, we have a decent liquidation, and at the top at 166. If we go to 166, we are going back into that resistance for another visit. If we go to 166 from here, we are producing a breakout. So that hopefully we go for that liquidity at the top, because that is the recipe to produce the breakout on the momentum. And if we go to $1, we go around here. Yeah, around $1 there. and that is going to be a rejection of the momentum. It's not going to look great. Hopefully we don't have to go to $1. Let me see it closer. Where is $1? Is around here, right there. Yeah, it, we could form a double bottom like this because we already hit the neckline, so you can form something like this. Just a little bit of wishful thinking. Uh, cool. I think we are done. We are done with all the coins, and I'm just gonna check if there's any additional question. Trying to regain on 0618 Fibonacci on BTC is crucial. Yep, that's true. Uh, the 107 for me is the night and day level at the moment, and the one I'm monitoring. Hopefully today we close about 107, so we can have a little bit more of upside. Um, that upside can serve, to add to a short at other key levels. 107 could be a great area to buy as well, to have an edge position, to enter with a small amount as well. So I was thinking that today as well. Um, we got another request, and we got just 4 minutes to go, so I could cover that. It's called DWAVE Quantum QBTS. Let's do that. QBTS. And I'm gonna review the top one. DWAVE, yeah, it's the correct one. Oh god. Okay. On the daily, this has a double top, and the neckline is right here. There's also a gap, gaps lob getting filled, and this jumped from 13 to 15, and the target of the M pattern is, let's do the whole thing here. So that target from the M pattern can definitely fill the gap. I would say actually support is at $11, slightly lower. And yeah, let's leave it there. So I think the next move for this is something like that. In terms of RSI, I'm on the daily. Maybe I'm gonna move it to the weekly as well. So on the daily, it's breaking down already. So the momentum has already made a shift. So the price just needs to follow now and complete it. There's another way of putting the M pattern. You could place it like this and say that this actually needs to break down. Well, the target will be a little bit longer. In that case, we could form a larger M pattern with the neckline at 1567 instead. That's also something I will consider. And if we go to weekly, wow, what's going on with the stock? There's up, down, just ranging here. It looks similar to what gold is doing. And have we reached already the technical target of the double bottom? Let's see. Yes, we did. Okay, so that we reached the technical target, and now we are seeing a little bit of a pullback. The pullback could stop at 16 if it doesn't break the neckline and just holds there and carries on, or option B, breaks neckline and it goes between 12, which is the technical target, around it, or 11, which is support. If you start pinching below that, you're crossing also the volume weighted moving average that is in confluence there. So I wouldn't like to go beyond that level. All right. So that is it for today. As you can see, guys, you can request any coin, any asset, and I can try to offer um, as much value as I can. Hopefully, you find it valuable. And if you're watching this video tomorrow, Friday, it's because it's already public. We leave it private during the day, and the day after it goes public. if you join as an elite member, you get to choose the coins that you want me to review. You get to ask questions live. You can even join with microphone, sharing screen, show me setups. We can discuss some other things. It's supposed to be fun. That's the thing. I'll see you next Thursday with the next episode of Live TA on